Good morning. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much as ever for tuning in. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button as well. Really important you do that. And share this stream now on your social media platforms. We want as many views and opinions on this as we want as many of your views and opinions on this as possible. The vote of confidence appears to be in. Manchester United have briefed the media again, the second time in 7 days, that they are 100% behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season. Manchester United chief Ed Woodward has insisted that the club remain absolutely committed to the positive path that they are on with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and they have no desires this season to sack him. No desire this season to sack him. This indirectly or directly, whichever way you want to look at it, ends Manchester United's current pursuit of Mauricio Pochettino. And if true, and of course this is all about this being true, opens up opportunities for Poch, who is the favourite to replace Ole for many Manchester United fans. It opens up the opportunity for him to go to there's multiple options out there. City, PSG potentially, maybe even Real Madrid this forthcoming summer. Man United may miss out on a prospect that many people want. But this beggars many questions. There's many questions to be answered here. One, is this a PR stunt? And if so, why? If Ole is really hanging on by a thread and Poch is available and there's the risk of other clubs coming in for him, what on God's green earth? What on God's green earth are Manchester United waiting for? Stinks of bad management to me. If they are backing Ole, and you think Ole should be sacked, what does that tell you about our board's competence? What does that tell you about our board's ambition? What does that tell you about their ability to judge a football player? But yet they're not the big problem. We want your thoughts and we want your feelings on that. So if they are backing him, what have they seen that we haven't? Does this make you more positive or does this make you feel more negative? And if this is just a PR stunt, they're just saying this is lip service, what the hell are we waiting for? What the hell are we waiting for? Again, maybe there's some Fergie thing going on here. We don't know quite what we're looking at yet. Maybe, just maybe, something big's going to come out and happen in the near future. I don't know. Someone's been waiting for Christmas. I mean, I don't know if that's a joke or whatnot, but by then the season could be over. I want your views. I want your opinions. Make sure you're hitting that like button right now. Also, go into the link in the description below. The first one you'll come across. Please sign up to our mailbox and our newsletter. The next newsletter is on its way. We've got a big competition starting very soon as well, which we're just basically waiting for as many people as possible to sign up for it before we actually release the information about the competition. Over 4,500 people have now signed up to our mailing list, which is just absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. So if you could go and get yourself signed up to that right about now, that would be out of this world. Get it done now, then come back to the stream. It would be absolutely brilliant if you could do that for us. Excuse me as I do a little another thing on another screen in front of me. Let's do some of your live comments for a second here. We are opening the Skype lines this morning. So if you want to phone in, just search Football Terrace FC. Give us a call. Sir Alex here says Ole should be sacked based on the past 102 matches, not the next 5 games to save his job. And I think that's a fair point. If he's got 5 games to save his job and our number 1 replacement is available and other clubs are circulating, it strikes me as strange, odd, and stupid. Legitimately stupid for Manchester United to allow the circus to go on. But I want to hear from people that want Ole out. Because especially the ones who are like, it's nothing to do with the board. The board don't pick the team. The board are not responsible. It's all about Ole. It's Ole. Yo, The people that are not in charge, the people that are not at fault, as you say, are keeping him in charge. It's mad. It's mad. Do you know what I mean? Now, my little daughter, right? She goes daycare. She was at daycare. One of the nurses made a mistake. Fell asleep when she should be looking after the kids. I'd be fuming. I'd want action taken against that individual. I'd want her sacked. Cool. If they don't sack her and they keep her on, I pull the child out of the daycare center. Because, all the other daycare nurses might be brilliant. The manager, brilliant. But are they really, if they're willing to keep that person on who put my child's life at risk, right? And that's maybe a warped example for people, but that's how I look at Man United. I may have lots of misgivings when it comes to Ollie, but my focus is if I'm an Ollie outer and this board cannot see the problems with Ollie, that makes me more concerned for the future of my football club. Because if you ain't seeing the problems, or even worse than that, you're not concerned about the problems. Imagine this. They see the glaring issues with Ollie, but they're not prepared to change anything. What does that tell you? Imagine that. But they're not the biggest problem. Not the problem. The problem's just Ollie. Wow. Imagine my shock. T10S here says, but Terry, you were going on about win percentages and Ollie actually has a good win percentage. So what's up with that? Listen, everyone knows my views on the Ollie situation. If he stays, I'll back him. Do I think he's good enough to win us a Champions League or a Premier League? Probably not. I don't think there's a plan at Man United. So again, listen to what I personally say about Ollie rather than my, just bear with me a second, rather than my kind of sharing of other people's, sorry, I've got to do something. I had to log into something because I lose internet connection. Sorry. Like my opinion is this. I thought we needed Ollie to help us reboot the culture. Let's just coin that phrase. I don't think that the board are willing to do that. There is no plan. If there is no plan and it's all about short-termism, then you need the best managers available. That's kind of it. But I'm talking in third person here about the people that are like, Ollie's the biggest problem. He's got to go. He's not good enough. We all know that Ollie's win percentage since January has been absolutely amazing. Amazing, around 70%. That maintains for a whole season. There's an outside chance. There's a really good chance, or you can win a trophy. There's no doubt about it. He just needs to maintain it. But let's see what happens. But every match day, I'm going to support him. Every win, I'll support him. Every loss, I'll criticize where criticism is due. I won't be hyperbolic with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because we're not in this position because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're in this position because of how we've been run for the past 15 or so years. That, for me, are the facts of the matter. Playing devil. This is from Marble Halls TV. One of our members says, playing devil's advocate here, Terry. What if Ollie can become good? Listen, and then if that's what the board have seen, if the board think that that's going to happen, then fair enough. I'll get behind that. But again, I'm addressing that. Address that question to the Ollie outers. It isn't about putting that question towards me because you all know my thoughts on this. The Ollie outers that say, Ollie's the biggest problem, not the board. Let's take your view there, Marble Halls TV, as what's going on. The truth. They're keeping him because they think he's going to turn into a good enough manager. That puts everything that's currently going on at the feet of the board. Will these people have a go at the board? No, they won't. They'll just focus on Ollie. Samuel Ingram here, long-time viewer of the channel, says, Terry, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has taken Man United as far as he can as a manager. Let somebody else take over, someone like Marco Rose, Julian Nagelsmann, Balassi, or Hasselhoffen. Look, I get where you're coming from. I mean, Balassi, absolutely not. No, I'm not about Balassi. I'm not bought into the ideas of his not so far. I'm not falling for that one, basically. But look, I understand your overarching point. Sir Alex here, another member of the Football Terrace, says if we don't get Poch, we should keep Ollie until after the Euros and go get Luis Enrique from Spain. He's won the treble with Barca and dealt with the biggest stars at the top, on top of having good tactics. Maybe that's the plan. So there's also an element here of don't throw your toys out your pram. We don't know what's beyond the end of our nose. The problem is with that is it's hard. It's hard to get behind that because I don't believe this club has a plan. I think we just piss in the wind and we just hope and we pray that we've got a big enough tool for the piss to not land on our legs. Sandra Hussein here, another member of the Football Terrace, big up yourself, says, I don't think Enrique will do it because of family reasons. That's a fair point. Mr. Joshy here says Luis Enrique is quite similar to Jose Mourinho. Again, I don't know much about him, so it's very hard for me to sit there and personally judge how good or bad a manager is like that. But give us a call. Man like Mo, phone back if you want to. Mr. Akram as well. Sorry, I missed your calls. Sky plans are now open. I didn't have the icon open, so it wasn't raising up. And by the way, nearly 500 people watching. Hit the like button, please. We're gonna have Everyday Same on the show first. Everyday Same. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. What you saying, bro?
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect, bro. What you saying, mate?
I just want to have a little say about this Ollie thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Does anybody think we would have got better than third last year with any other manager? Probably the answer is no. So if you're talking about Ollie out, you have to base that on what you think about him or what he's done so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
When we went into the final games of the Europa League and the announcement when the season was starting, we all said to ourselves in the back of our mind, this is going to screw us for the start of the season. Yet, by some osmosis, we all forgot about that by the time we played Crystal Palace, who had had 4 competitive games. Yet we were all like, oh yeah, we're going to beat Palace because, we're entitled and we don't think, we lost that logic. So we lost the Crystal Palace game. We should have lost the Brighton game, but we got through. And then against the Tottenham game, everything went wrong against us. And we were in pre-season. It was only when we'd had enough games in the international break where we started to play anywhere that's well. So you can really say that the Arsenal defeat is the one kind of bad performance that we should have done better in this season. Now, Ollie's made mistakes. I hate at the moment everybody. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I'm listening, bro.
Oh, sorry. I hate at the moment when the team news comes out and everybody boils the piss and all the rest of it. It's pathetic. But the one thing that was wrong when we played the Diamond and we played Scott McTominay on the right, that was a mistake. And we know that was a mistake was because we played that system with him on the right side of the Diamond against Everton. And we got hammered. So that was a mistake by Ollie. There's no point in going on about team selections because we're not on the training ground every day. We don't know exactly how fit the players are. And blaming a team selection in hindsight is easy because if we play Dan James and a team doesn't come out and attack us, then all of a sudden it seems like a bad decision and bad tactics, when if they did come out, it could be a good thing. And the worst thing is most of these people that complain about the team selection, when we win, they are not man enough to come and say, "Oh well, you know what? I was wrong. Ollie was right."
Well, we saw that. We saw that very much, didn't we, on Saturday when we played Everton? The amount of Man United fans, people that even come on this channel, that were like, I remember one of the tweets I read was, "Ollie never learns from his lessons. Disgraceful team." And then followed it up by saying he's trying to get himself sacked here today. We end up putting in, barring one mistake from Victor Lindelof, we put in a really good performance. Yes, I mean, someone pointed out in another show I listened to that Everton had opportunities to score and equalise, and for that reason, it was still a bad performance. And I thought to myself, have they never watched a game of football before? Like Man United in our history have won many, many games where the opponents have had 3 or 4 opportunities to score goals and not taken them, but we've still gone on to win. Do we not, can you imagine not wanting to celebrate a win because the other team had opportunities to score in it? I thought it was staggering, really, but they didn't score most of them opportunities because we got blocks in, we cleared headers, or goalkeepers made saves. That's also part of their role. I find it staggering. You're right. And the problem is after the game, all the people that said this team selection is dead, Not one of them said, "Oh, I was wrong today. Well done, Ollie." It was just like, "Whoa, I'm not changing my mind on him." That's the kind of sort of hyperbolic, polarized, fake fan attitude that doesn't help anybody.
Can I like finish what I was saying?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
Okay, so that's that. And then, so the point is, people was like, okay, Ollie's not experienced enough. Well, we know that doesn't count. That's moot because we've had experienced managers. And like I said, there are many reasons why we're where we are. But the two most salient points are, like you always say, the board is rotten to the core, and that transcends through the team. And my point is, the mentality of this generation's footballer cannot handle playing at United with the social media pressure and all the rest of it. And it's not just Man United players, other players from other teams wouldn't cope because our situation is unique. It's only your Bruno Fernandes and, ironically, academy players that have been here since the age of about 6 or something, that can kind of take it. Now, with the board not backing us, it's difficult to get 6 or 7 Bruno Fernandeses in the first team. And that is the only way that we will be able to win anything. So I agree, obviously, Poch is a better manager than Ollie. But with that not being able to change the two pertinent salient points, he will not be able to. I mean, I don't rate him anyway because I think he's a bottler. I really do.
Who?
I mean, they should have won the league. Poch,
right?
Because they should have won the league. They should have won the league when Leicester won it. It's as simple as that. They threw it away. But change. So therefore, I do not see the point. Therefore, I do not see the point. Why am I hearing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
All right, sorry. I do not see the point in changing the manager because it'll up-evil the team, plays a different time, he's a bottler, he doesn't play the Manchester United way. Right now, we've got a guy that understands, has got the team that's playing for him. I mean, Ed Woodward loves him anyway because he's a buffer and he's cheaper. And what I'm trying to say is, for me, I've just given you all the reasons why I think that, one, the Ollie in, Ollie out debate is moot anyway. And two, the reason why people are going off is because of the accumulative effect of the transfer window being crap and the osmosis of, oh, let's forget about how the board hamstringing us and put it all on the manager, and not taking into account things like pre-season and the fact that they're not on the training ground every day.
I hear that. We've got a man like Mo on the line as well. Mo, what do you want to add to that, mate?
I just want to say is, I'm not saying this is 100% if they're going to keep him or not, but this sounds to me like the same way they said they're going to keep Van Gaal and they sacked him, same way they said about Jose and they sacked him. So I just feel if they are going to support him, like back him and keep him on the job, they're going to do this. They're just going to backstab him, Terry. And we've had this conversation many times, and I don't think they're going to give him that support. Like, you know, a lot of people have spoke to me and they've said to me, Ollie's put his arm around Ed Woodward and said to him, like, he's going to support him. Like Woodward said, he's going to support him. And look where it ended up. It ended up with us. And I noticed this as well. And a good thing that you've mentioned this on your show not long ago. It must have been 4 months ago. We end up spending big when we ain't got Champions League football. But when we get Champions League football, if you don't invest, our net spend is about 40 or 50 million. And that, Terry, is bad.
Yeah, listen, we know, and everybody will have a different kind of view on why. But fundamental.
Can you ask me though? Can you explain though why?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you why because I'm not in that boardroom, mate. But my opinion, my hypothesis is they don't care about being the best team in England, and this is why the Ollie outers, although some of their points about Ollie stand up, and some of their opinions make logical sense as to why they don't think Ollie's good enough, it's become an arbitrary, pointless, kind of benign debate point now, the manager of Manchester United. And of course the media don't want it to be that because it doesn't make good blaming the board doesn't make good reading for whatever reason. And I can't quite put my finger on it. Plus, people have got to understand that these broadcasters at very senior levels have good relationships with the Glazers. I mean, there's multiple pictures, for instance, of people like Gary Lineker out for dinner with the Glazers. Like these people at the highest level rub shoulders with one another. So trust me when I tell you, certain TV companies and newspapers don't want to annoy the Glazers because they don't want to find themselves on the sharp end of a ban from Old Trafford or not get any information that they want, etc. It becomes a little bit insidious and a little bit kind of incestuous rather than insidious, in that way. So I think that's part of the reason why nobody goes after the board and the way the club is run, because Man United are not a well-run football club, and everybody worth their salt, everyone that knows football understands this. I can't quite get my head around the fact, barring there being some sort of, I'm not kind of saying some brown envelope exchanges going on, but almost this element of, oh, look, let's not go after like the organ grinder. Let's just go after the monkey here, i.e. the manager at the football club. But it's sort of like Man United are the only poorly run sports club, brand, whatever phrase you like to use in the world, who are not really getting focused on it being the owner's problem. When Barcelona are in turmoil, like they have been, feels like they've been for a while now, all I ever hear about is the way the club's run. When Real Madrid are going through problems, yes, the manager gets pressure, but what I hear more about is the presidential elections. The fans are not happy with the way the club is being run. And when we've seen teams like capitulate and fall away, whether it be Rangers, whether it be Portsmouth, whether it be Leyton Orient, it's the ownership that has led to these things. You know, when you look at Liverpool's failings for 30-odd years, you listen to what Liverpool fans spoke about, the decisions we were making. You know, when it was Hicks and Gillette, so all we heard about was how bad Hicks and Gillette were for Liverpool. Yes, their managers got criticism for being in the job, but the primary focus was Hicks and Gillette. When it comes to Man United and the Glazers, it simply gets ignored. Oh, they spend money. Well, of course they do, because on a relative scale, the size of Man United, they still spend quite a bit of money. But we could afford to spend a hell of a lot more if we weren't encumbered with this huge debt. We didn't have this huge debt against us. Now, we had a season this year. Whether you think Jadon Sancho would change things or not, this is what stands out to me. We missed out on the Sancho deal by about 15 to 20 million pounds, depending upon which report you read. We also lost money this year because we couldn't have fans at the stadium for the end of last season. We lost money. We missed out on our number one target by 15 to 20 million, but our owners still took 23 million pounds out in that same financial year as dividends. So that they could have kept that money in the club and gone, you know what, you're not making a profit this year, Man United. We love you. We want you to be successful. Keep our dividends this 1 year. Go and get Jadon Sancho. Let's go for the league. Let's do it. I'm just throwing that out. They didn't. They still took their money. Old Trafford is leaking. There are holes in the roof. The squad has got problems. The club in itself made a loss. The debt has increased by hundreds of percent, mainly because of FX fluctuation in the market, but the debt's gone up. And instead of the owners saying we're going to reduce that debt, fix the hole in the roof, or put extra money into this squad, they took it for themselves. And if people can't see that, imagine the message that sends to the players. Now, if you work in a business, you're in an office and the roof is leaking, none of you are getting your bonuses and you're short of staff and you need to employ somebody new and they say we don't have money. But then you see your owners turn up after taking their bonuses in brand new Range Rovers and Ferraris. What message does that send to your employees? It actually happened at a company I worked at for a very short period of time. They made 12 people redundant. And then the next day, the owner came in with a brand new car and was showing it off. There was outrage. And you're like, hang on a minute. It's your money. Fair enough. Well done, you. But you just basically sacked 12 people yesterday. And now you're coming in showing off how much money you've got. That's what the Glazers are doing. That message, that shot across the bow, is devastating for people. And the fact that it gets ignored by, again, I hate doing this, but I have to. These are not fans of Man United. They're customers. They're customers and they're glory hunters. And that's all they care about. And it's like, we just want to win. We want to win now. Yeah, but how about building a club that's got a conducive environment to it? Don't care about that. Just give me a manager and the players that are going to win now. It doesn't work like that, you ignoramuses. It just doesn't. It just annoys me that people think you could take the best person in any profession. If you put them in a terrible environment that's set up to fail, they will fail. That's just life. It's how it works.
This is what I'm trying to say. As much as like he's defensive and Allegri is like a tactical manager, he'll fail. That's the, in my opinion, he won't even take the job because he's gonna want someone that knows football ahead of Woodward. You know what I mean? Like higher than Woodward that knows what he's doing. He's gonna fail instantly. Managers are clocking on, Terry. That's why.
Of course. There's a comment here. Sorry, Mo. There's a comment here that says owners are not the issue. Fan expectation is the real issue. Fans still living in the past without respecting the rest of the Premier League teams who have stepped up. Do you know what I say? That there's an element of truth in that. The difference is the fans have a higher expectation for the club than the owners do. And that's where we need to level ourselves out. If our board have no desire to make us the best team in England, I truly think we have to stop wanting, maybe not wanting, expecting that we're going to be the best team, because it doesn't work like that. If I look at, I don't know, someone I don't have control over, if I look at my brother, I'm like, bruv, I want you to get ripped. I want you to get big thighs, six-pack. I want you to get hench, bruv. I want that from you, bruv, and I'm not going to be happy until you look like that. But if my brother spends every evening eating pizzas and McDonald's, he ain't ever going to get that. But if I keep sitting there every day going, oh, maybe today when I go and see my brother, he's going to look hench. He's going to have been to the gym. He's going to exercise. He's going to be eating well. But he doesn't want to do it. I've got to drop my want, because otherwise I'm just going to make myself angry. Like, we are trying to control. People say, you can't get rid of the Glazers. Yeah, but your expectations, you're doing the same foul logic. Your expectations.
You can actually get rid of them.
Well, yeah, you can. No. Of course, I'm talking third person as if I'm them. There's no point moaning about the Glazers because you can't get rid of them. But yet you want to moan about the club not having expectations the same as yours. You can't make them change their expectations either. So why not lower your expectations the same as you're telling people to not worry about trying to get rid of the Glazers? They are the biggest problem. And like I've said before, if you're Ollie in or you think Ollie should stay for whatever reason, this is kind of good news to you. I'm a bit like you, Mo. I don't quite trust it. But if you're Ollie out and they're serious about keeping Ollie, what does that tell you? And I know I am addressing the Ollie outers. I know you'll ignore it. And you'll look for, it's just a PR stunt. They're still going to sack him in a few games anyway. Again, why? Why not just do it now, get it done? If they don't think he's good enough and he's got a few games to save himself, we can be back here in 15 games. He might win the next 5 and then lose. It's crazy. It's crazy.
My point is, though, why do they think that he's not good enough? Because, like I said, the Arsenal defeat is the only one, really, that he can be culpable for.
Well,
in my opinion, because of the start with the European games and the pre-season.
But I understand that. I think you're being very specific about this season. When you ask the Ollie outers, what they then talk about is I'm going to give you the answers. I'm not having a go at you. This is weird. I'm talking on behalf of people that are not, because most of the Ollie outers won't have the balls to call the show and speak to someone like you. What I'm saying about them is they then speak about no visible or obvious style of play. So they'll throw that at you. If you then debunk that like Danny has on the show, let me just finish. I'm not arguing with you, so this isn't arguing. If you go to them with what you just said, they'll say no obvious style of play. When you show them physically there's a style of play and there are patterns, they then go on to bottle in the semi-finals. You then speak about whatever you do, they will throw another reason why Ollie isn't good enough. My point to you is they have a number of reasons in their own head, even if there's factual evidence to say what you've suggested isn't true. I mean, I pointed out a few weeks ago that the big last January was when the real Ollie out thing begun, and they were all throwing out his 35% win ratio from when he became the permanent manager. Until that point, we had back-to-back defeats to Liverpool and Burnley. They demanded he either improved or he went. From that point until when I made the video, he played like 40-odd games and the win percentage was 70%. And my argument back to them all was, okay, but let's just say he literally listened to you and he went away and he's doubled the win ratio to a level, by the way, that's on par with Poch's time at City. So in that 40-game period, he's delivered, maybe not in the style you wanted, but that's too narcissistic and arrogant of you to think he has to do that. But he's delivered the win percentage that you wanted. Because if a manager goes a whole season winning about 70% of their games, highly likely they win a trophy. That's just factual evidence over the years. When you look at every manager's season where they've won trophies, their win percentage tends to be in and around that amount. Sometimes you have like Wigan seasons where they win an FA Cup and it's absolute madness in comparison to that. That's an anomaly. The point is they're Ollie out because They don't like him as a person, not as a human being, but as the way he talks, the way he behaves. You know, Aaron always says things like, "I just prefer a manager that stands on the touchline and shouts instructions." And I sort of feel like, yeah, Jose did that, and no one liked him either. Like, I think we need to drop these kind of characteristics that we want, and we need to look at end result. And there needs to be an element of what win percentage do they have, because we could get 5 people, 10 people, 50 people on here to all say what the perfect manager looks like, what the football should be like, how he should talk in a press conference, what he should do during a game, how he should speak about his players, whatever. And we could come up with 50 different answers. The point is, we have to turn around and say, it's got to be based on win percentage. How many games out of 10 has he got to win for you just to have his back? Like, that's what we've got to try and get to the point on. But you'll never get people to commit to that, because then they put themselves into a box. And what people want, they want to be able to moan about things that they don't have a preference for. And we've become that way in society. That's the way it is, bro.
Right, for me, if I'm thinking about it, the reason that these people are Ollie out is the way I see it, is because obviously none of us are happy where we are as a football club, and rather than be logical and realise that it is the mentality of the generation of players, and more importantly the board, they can't see that, so their brain tells them, let's attack the manager. And that, I think that's the main thing. And you get those people who were just Ollie out no matter what.
Well,
mate, pretty much ridiculous.
It's a really good point as well. They don't want to wake up and smell the coffee. There's almost no way out of this with the people that are running the club, the pressures, the mentality, everything else. So it's a bit like the people in America right now. Oh, we're saved because Biden's coming in. I'm like, yo, your country's had these problems for 50, 60 years. Like, nothing. People think the world's going to be better come the inauguration. It's all the same stuff's going to happen. Do you get where I'm coming from?
The way the American political system is made up, it doesn't actually matter who's the president, because it's all about what you can do in the Senate and bipartisanship. So
mate, exactly. And do you know what it is? It's just but you get my point. It's
yeah, totally.
From a social media perspective, it's like, oh, we're saved. It's like, no, we're not. Like, we're not. You know, I remember having this row with someone that was saying, oh my God, if we had anybody other than the Conservatives, this country would never get into trouble. I'm like, bro, you know the financial crash that basically destroyed everything? So you do realize it wasn't them that were in charge when it happened? Yeah, but I'm like, no, don't give me yeah, buts. I'm not, by the way, this ain't political. I'm just saying these bad things always happen no matter who's in charge. It's like at Man United. Someone said to me the other day, this is how crazy people forget things. Yeah, but if we just had like a top level manager, we'd be okay. We had 2 top level managers on the bounce in LVG and Jose, and we weren't okay. Every excuse, every reason I hear to get rid of Ollie, there's examples of over the last 8 years of where that hasn't worked as well. And I'm not saying it won't work with a new manager, but the balance of probability and the facts are in the people that are saying the Glazers are the problems, because there's examples of everything you're suggesting we should do to change things. And the irony is, their answer to all of this is, yeah, but this time they might get it right. And I'm like, so you're willing to put faith in this board that have fouled with 4 managers on the bounce, but you're not willing to give Ollie another month? Again, logically, because it's personal for them. It literally is personal. They don't like it, so they don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want it to be there. You know, I see it with Gareth Southgate. It's like, I don't like Southgate. I see him win last night. People are like, oh, can't believe he's smiling after beating Ireland 3-0. Hey, his team won. Why can't he smile? Because he's a fraud. But why can't he be happy when he's won? Why would you be happy beating a rubbish team? Because that's his job. He's got, you know, so now managers that you don't like can't be happy when they beat what you consider to be an easy team. Like, imagine the narcissism that seeps through your skin. You are just weird people. And I think you're right. Like, they don't want to wake up and smell the coffee. There's a bigger problem. They want to take it out on Ollie.
When Poch comes, they'll say the board's the problem.
No, they won't though, bruv. They won't. They'll switch on him. Because go back 2 years ago, these exact same conversations were happening. I was sitting on the camera saying the same thing about removing Jose is important for X, Y, and Z reason. But the bigger problems are creating a plan, recruiting right, having a long-term vision, making changes at board level. And everybody in the comments, some people saying they're speaking facts. Most people going, stop being a Jose sympathizer. Now I'm being called an Ollie sympathizer for saying the same things. It won't change.
Terry, you said it before we got Jose.
Yeah, I know I did. Yeah, exactly. I know I did. And this is the thing with people. They don't want to listen. And that's why sometimes the older generation of football fans, I feel, get disrespected by the younger ones because they've been there, done it, seen it, worn the t-shirt and remember what it feels like. And the younger one, no, listen, you're old, you're shouting at the sky, you're an old man. It's like, no, I've been here and I've seen it. And the irony is, they always say that as people get older, their view of the world changes, their political stance changes. It's because they realize what's up. As you get older, yes, you might become a little bit slower in your body, but your mind becomes sharper, generally speaking, because into a certain age, because of experience, you know, and you learn these things. I've seen this. There are lots of youngsters that phone this show that literally hadn't even started puberty. Some of them, you know, were still eating rusks when like David Moyes came in, and we've seen these patterns 4 times. So they might be for the first time as a conscious adult or sort of teenager experiencing this. Guy, see, Ollie's destroyed us. It's like, nah, this has been going on a long time now. And even under Fergie, this was going on, but we just had the burning embers of the past regime that saw us through, kept us warm, if you like. But we saw the writing was on the wall with not replacing particular players. Like if the Glazers weren't at Man United and we had a well-run club, the likes of Ronaldo would have been replaced. The likes of Rooney would have been replaced. The likes of Rio and Vidic and Patrice Evra would have been replaced 2 or 3 years prior to them being over the hill. Because that's generally speaking how Man United operated at our pomp. And people always pull on, but we won 3 league titles on the bounce in the Champions League with the Glazers. We did. But the vast majority of that squad was put together by prior to them coming in. If you think about Rooney, Ronaldo, Giggs, Scholes, Rooney, Ronaldo, Giggs, Scholes, all the class of that, you know, Rio Ferdinand, all these guys were there, Van der Sar, a lot of that squad were there, and we did add some quality to it. We did get to buy players, but you had Fergie and David Gill managing and running that situation as an example, and they were the best in the business, and it helps. But as soon as they left and the power was relinquished and it was given to the board, things just went from bad to worse. And I think that for people just to not recognize this, for people to act like this hasn't happened, again, it tells me you're not a Man United fan. You have no idea if okay, cool. If you're 20 years old, maybe it's a little bit harsh to question you on things that happened in the 90s. Cool, because you're age-wise. But to not know what's happened since the Glazers have owned the club, if you're 24, 20 years old, 25 years old, I think if you're ignoring those things, I don't think you're a Man United fan. You are a glory hunting customer. That's all you care about, and that's why you only like point at the sort of the nearest thing to you, as opposed to looking at the one common denominator in our failure is this board and these owners. And like I've said at the beginning of this video, I'm not Ollie in or Ollie out in terms of him as a person. My view is I don't believe we have a plan of action as a football club. So for that, I now don't believe we do. So for that reason, I think we just need the best manager possible to try and get the best results possible for us. I think that's the only way around things. But I have no belief that with any manager coming in, we're ever going to return back to being one of the best teams in England on a consistent basis. And until more people wake up and smell the coffee, I just think we're going to continue on this ever-going cycle. In another 2 years, when the next manager's being sacked, I'll be sitting here saying the same thing. And I wonder how many of you will wake up and recognize it then.
Well, how many of us right now got the energy? KG, Elite, you and me are probably the only people because we could do something about it. You know, or how many of them got the energy? They'll sit there, they'll talk about it, glaze out, we're going to protest. The next day, you see, if you look at the trip there of the Wolverhampton game on the Old Trafford, yeah, they're saying they were doing walkouts, and you know what they've done? They've seen Bruno, and they all say we're not walking out.
But this is the thing, and I totally get that, and I totally understand that. And like I said before, think about this morning's news. This script strip right down, right? It's spit right down to them keeping Ollie, and you just every eventuality out of this tells you we're being run poorly. If they're BSing him and they're just sort of stringing him along for the next 5 games, that's terrible management because that tells you he isn't good enough. And in those 5 games, you could throw a lead away on the top 4 or the top of the league. By even more. And if you like a lot of the, and I'm looking at this from an Ollie Outers point of view, they have said, and we take Aaron's case in point on the show, we take Manny's point, who's been on the show, our squad's good enough to win the league in their opinion. So why not, if that's the case, in your eyes, if Poch is good enough to make us play brilliant football and we can still win the league because it's early in the season and our squad's good enough, keeping Ollie for 5 more games is just criminal. Because in your opinion, Poch is good enough to make us an excellent team again, and we've got a squad good enough to win the league. So firstly, we're tempting throwing 5 games away, which could cost us top 4, could cost us the league title based on their logic. The second element is they're actually backing him, right? They're actually backing him, and they're keeping him in play. Now, if you're an Ollie outer and they're actually backing him and they actually think he's good enough, what does that say in Europe for you that thinks he's trash, think he's a PE teacher? What does that tell you about the judgment of our board? Yet you still don't think they're a problem. There isn't an eventuality that comes out of this, barring them sacking him instantly, that tells me they know what they're doing based on your logic as Ollie outers. And that's why you guys are in the mud. And that's why you keep embarrassing yourselves by not focusing on the real problem here.
Listen, this is the thing, Terry. Go this thing. Sorry, everyday saying. This is the thing, yeah. They're saying this, yeah. Me and the guy, we always in numerous times we talk about work. We talk about football at work, and he tells me, yeah, that if Ollie loves the club, why doesn't he walk? I said nowadays in modern day football, managers don't walk out their job. They don't walk. Do you rarely see a manager walk out his job in football? You don't, do you? So Ollie is not going to walk regardless to what happens.
Of course, and he doesn't need to walk because I've said this before. The one thing I prefer, right? Someone like Ollie, Fergie did this for his last, I don't know how many more years from when he took over. 8 years at the club from when they took over until he retired. I think it was 8 years. 8 years seemed to be really slow, but yeah, it was 8 years. I'd rather someone like Ollie on the inside of the tent spitting out than the outside spitting in. Like, I want someone that loves the club steering this ship with these bad owners. Things have became very toxic with managers who didn't love the club in the same way. And that's, again, my fear about an outside manager in terms of someone with no red in their blood coming in and having to deal with this board and having to deal with these owners, that there's a bigger likelihood of it becoming toxic because they're not going to have the same feeling towards the football club as someone like Ollie does. But again, they won't want to look at it from that point of view. Do you know why? Because these people don't love Manchester United. They love the feeling Man United used to give them when they were kids, when they were teenagers, of being the best team, so they could go and gloat. Man United with their opportunity to be arrogant people. My team. You know, up until like 8 years ago, you were very rarely embarrassed as a Man United fan. There'd be weekends where you were embarrassed. There'd be certain results where you're like, that's terrible. But you nearly always bounce back very quickly and be like, yeah, we're king of the hill again. We'd very rarely get beat by small teams. We win a larger percentage of our games against the top 6. Being a Man United fan carried a certain kind. You go abroad. You've all been abroad. You meet people. You tell people you're a Man United fan. They recognize you because of it. Now, when you say you're a Man United fan, people laugh at you. The difference is, I don't care if people laugh at me because I love my club. I'm proud of my club, win, lose, or draw. If we got relegated tomorrow, we went out of business and had to start again in the Conference North, I would still cover the United on this channel with the same passion, energy, and dedication. I know the vast majority of these men out here moaning and crying would drop us like a bad habit. And that's the difference. That's why that's why you don't want to look for the real problem. For me, I care. When you care about something, you want to find out what's actually wrong with them. You actually want to go and fix it no matter how painful it is. Guys, I've got to go, though. I've got another call I've got to jump onto. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Every day, same man like Mo. Thank you very much as ever. Thank you for all the super chats, people. Hit that like and share button. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all soon. Cheers, gents. Thank you.